Ben Davidson and EuroHooplife here. We're here today to talk with Harold Ridgeway about Australia. He played in Toowoomba, Australia in 2018 season. Harold, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us. I just wanted you did a podcast on Mongolia and the whole nice and freezing situations up there. Obviously, Australia's basketball season is coincides with the American basketball season, but it happens to be summer down there in the southern hemisphere. Give me a little situation on Toowoomba. When were you there? What was the team name? What was the city like? A little inside and scoop on that.
So I was in Toowoomba, March of this year to around August. I came home around August 31st of this year. The city was a very country city, about 2 hours away from Brisbane, which is like a really big city. But the team really looked out for me. I had a vehicle. I had an apartment, like an Airbnb kind of thing. I had to provide food for myself. But yeah, it was a good experience. The weather was always nice.
Nice. I played down in Melbourne, Australia. It was summertime. Had a house down in St Kilda. We had just finished up the largest casino in the southern hemisphere, so Melbourne was a good time for me.
Melbourne City, yeah, I love Melbourne. That's probably one of the best cities I've been to.
It's not a big city like a metropolis like a Sydney or New York or Los Angeles or Hong Kong, but it's a second-rate city. Good people, good mentality. Played down there with Andrew Gaze and those guys.
Oh yeah.
And so let me ask you this: when you got off the airplane, did they have someone to pick you up? They put you up in a hotel. Kind of get the situation when you first got there.
When I first got there, so they was rearranging Airbnb that we were staying in. So when I first got there, I was actually on the flight with the girls import, but I didn't know that she was on the flight with me. So we was on the same flight. So when I was in baggage claim, I seen the general manager of the team. He picked me up from the airport with the other girl, but I was like sitting right next to the girl in the airport, and I didn't even know she was the import or anything, or that's what she was going out there for. So when I got out there, I stayed with my coach. My coach had a pretty big house, but it was really nothing in it.
Yeah.
He had a big house, but he had no furniture or anything in his house.
Like he had just been picked up and signed the contract also.
Yeah, pretty much. Like his house was really big, really nice, but it just wasn't. He didn't have any Wi-Fi, so like the first couple of weeks I was out there was pretty rough, just because I didn't have any Wi-Fi.
How do you find Australia? How do you find the culture? A lot of international basketball players, they come from college where a lot of your the schooling to the housing to the food to making sure that everything being waited on hand and foot. How was the situation compared to the culture shock compared to Mongolia and Australia? Pros, cons.
Well, my first season out in Australia, I was in Adelaide. And I thought this was like how the overseas life was gonna be. It was everybody speaks English there. You got Australians. They pretty much like everything Americans like. They like the same kind of, well, not the same food. They eat like Vegemite or whatever. But it was it's pretty much just like America. Like if I'm telling you, like if I didn't have a son and family back in the States, Australia would probably be someplace where I would call home. But yeah, it was beautiful there. Like the people nice, there's no violence, none of that stuff like in America, But yeah, the culture is pretty much like you can if you can live in America, you can pretty much live in Australia. It's a nice place.
I always describe to people as Australia is like America with 10% less of the stress and the hustle and bustle.
Right. Yeah.
You got guys in construction, a lot less laws. People are going to be out there. It's a little bit of a nanny state here in the United States, whereas Australia's like, hey, you get in a fight with a dude at the bar, they carry you outside. Next thing you know, they're best of mates, and they got their arms around. And they go back inside and have a drink together, and it's you're not holding any grudges against anybody. It's a very low intensity culture. I love it. I love my time down there.
It's just one of the things about Australia. I like to get under people's skin, when I'm playing basketball, talk a little trash, They don't really like doing that out there, they'll push you or something, like they don't like when you get to talking trash to them out there, but that's just how I play,
Yep. Yeah, get in there, take them out of their game a little bit with your through mentality. Now it's kind of we talked about a lot of the breadcrumbs that we want to be able to leave is for players, wives, and family members, and possibly agents. We talked about the situation of the team, for the city, the whole living situation, how they kind of treat their players. Let's talk about the facilities. What were the facilities like? You got your own car out there, so you had transportation and stuff. But what was the gym like? If you got injured, was the rehabilitation, therapy, anything of that nature available to you?
Well, we didn't have a gym. We rented a gym from we didn't have our own gym. Like, we didn't have our own venue, but we like rented a gym from like a university. So like when we had home games, like all our fans would come in. One of the downsides I really didn't like is I didn't have access to go to the gym whenever I wanted, so that was one of the bad things about it. You couldn't just wake up, put up shots, wake up, go work out. You had to get in there at a specific time. That was one of the things I really didn't like, especially, as being getting paid for what I'm doing. I want to be in the gym, putting up shots. I want to be getting better every day. And that was just one of the things that I didn't like, But as far as like the gym that we use, it was cool. Toowoomba, the city itself, is like on a mountain, so it's really, Queensland is like a real tropical kind of place. But like Toowoomba was on a mountain, so it was really cold in the gym sometimes. So I think it kind of helped us when we played against like people, because they'll come in the gym and be really cold. Like, we won a lot of home games just because of that. Like, people would come in our gym and it was just like really cold in there,
Okay.
But yeah, it was cool. I can't really complain about anything. It was they took care.
You enjoyed your time while you were there playing for the team, and you feel like it's also a good stepping stone to be able to get tape in a league that, if you can compete over in Australia, that you can use those tapes to possibly. I think the end goal is to get players over to Europe, just because the contracts are a little bit better. Do you feel that Australia is a good stepping stone for future players and younger players? Like you said, you came from an NAIA school.
Yeah, to be honest, it just depends who's watching you. I feel like a lot of people don't really respect the league that I was playing in, but most of the Australian locals play D1. Most of the imports, mid-major or like our high major guys. It was guys from Alabama, it was guys from Xavier, it was guys from Gardner-Webb, you name it. And so it's just not respected in Europe or nothing. But I think it's a lot better than most of the lower level Europe leagues. And that's what.
But don't tell me that. So that's the biggest thing about Australia is they don't want to be known as one of the top level teams, but they do have high level competitors. They have some top level basketball players. They have high flyers. They have some deep shooters. They have intelligent basketball players. I just think the main focus, one of the biggest downfalls of Australian is that you have the rugby, you have the Aussie rules, and you have the soccer, and they switched that season around to be able to keep. Now they're competing with, if you were to say in the United States, NFL football. You're a hockey league, you're competing with NFL, NBA, and MLB. And so now there's that fourth major league, and I think basketball in Australia has been hurt just due to the fact that they're competing with those top-level Australian sports.
Absolutely, yeah. Australia's got some really good locals as far as people might not think about it, but if you think about it, it's a lot of Australians that's in the NBA. It's a lot of good locals that I play with in Australia. So the NBL, which a lot of the players that's in the NBL, they play in the QBL. Like, every team that I played in had an NBL player. Yeah, a lot of like Europe probably won't respect it, but it's a really tough. It's a tough league as far as just like the competition you see in every night.
I just think, and it's also an isolated continent. So So I thank you for that inside scoop and information. I think that'll be valuable for future players. At the same time, we want to talk about the city. We want to talk about the team facilities. What were the payments like? I know that certain countries are known. If you go to Germany, if a holiday falls on a Sunday, you're going to get paid the Friday before. How is the payment schedule with Australia? How reliable are they? How comfortable did you feel with Toowoomba?
I was comfortable. I got paid on time. I knew my money was coming every Friday. I guess they technically said that they can give you cash because you're not from there. So what I did when I first got out there, they set up a bank account for me, and every week the payments would go in the bank account. And they was never late. Every Friday, 12 o'clock, it was just like a direct deposit job. I get the money every week. And if we did have a problem, they would have them. Like, it was one time we did like a camp or whatever, and they was kind of late on the payment, but they was getting it together, and it took a little while to come, but it came. Like, they always was. That's one thing about
a lot of communication with them.
Oh, it was great. Anytime I needed something, like Australia really looked. I mean, from the past 2 teams I played, they really look out for their imports. I mean, the only thing you got to make sure Australia, the cost of living is pretty expensive. So, like, you got to, cook and stuff. I'm not really too cook. Like, I'm not one to cook. So I spend a lot of money on just food and, going out to eat. And that just piled up,
Yeah.
But if you cook and stuff like that, you can save money. Like, but I didn't have to really pay for my house, my flight, none of that. Like, everything was taken care of. They take really good care of the imports out there.
Nice. Good to hear. We want to hear EuroHooplife. We want to hear about the good times and the bad times. We want to be a guidance counselor for when you're about to sign a contract. As we finish this up, as you're talking about Toowoomba, what would be the last kind of thing, any tidbits of information that you like, how people would get in contact with you, some things of that nature?
Probably Facebook. That's the quickest way to contact me is just on Facebook. Toowoomba was a pretty good city. It wasn't really nothing really ever to do. I was really lonely at times, being away from my family, my son. It was just really lonely, but the basketball made up for it. I love basketball. So, one day I plan to play at a high level. So, it's just a stepping stone. Sometimes you got to make sacrifices, So,
how many practices a day did you have? Was it, you can go to Italy and they're going to have you doing games Saturday, you're back up the next morning practicing Sunday mornings. Did you do 2 days, 1 a day, weight rooms, practicing nights?
We in Toowoomba they had this thing called like the Fit Lab. We'd go to like lift, which was like 3 times a week. We'd lift, but that was really light lifting. It was nothing really like college, But we only practiced twice a week. We practiced every Tuesday night and every Thursday night. We had a game on Saturday, so it was really light. Like the rest of the week was just you get the easy money, easy. It's really easy. That's why I love it. I'm about to go out there in April. I signed to a new team to play, so I'm going out there. I already signed.
What team is that?
It's called the Port City Power in Glaston, the same league. I'm on a different team now this year.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to you, knowing what you got going on for your future. No, Harold, thank you for your time, your information, and I think you've helped a lot of players, and we'll get this information out to them. EuroHooplife, Bennett Davison, go to the EuroHooplife, subscribe, EuroHooplife on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. You can watch any of these videos. We have a catalog of teams from Mongolia to Malta, down to Chile, down to Australia, over in France. So we're worldwide. Thank you for your time. EuroHooplife out.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Harold.